Welcome back to Rising Phoenix. And we're hoping that with this edition that we're going to discuss today, that it can bring up some conversation around the table about keeping yourself a little bit happier and healthier through the winter months.
Today we're going to be talking about seasonal affective disorder. But first, we're going to do a pop quiz.
Pop quiz.
Question 1. What time of year is seasonal affective disorder most likely to occur? A, spring. B, summer. C, fall and winter. D, all year round.
Should we do Jeopardy? Just kidding.
Yeah. I didn't even know it.
Do you want me to answer it?
Fun. It's a pop quiz. Fall, winter. Oh, yeah. Wait.
Okay, fall and winter.
Correct. Seasonal affective disorder starts in the late fall or early winter when daylight hours decrease and often results in spring.
So, do you know how you combat that? Because we both deal with it. And yeah. So, vitamin D, keeping vitamin D levels up. So, typically, you can have those strong when you go into your PCP. And especially if you're feeling down. It takes vitamin D 3 months to get it built up in the system. It's a fat-soluble vitamin. So when you take it, you should take it with fat, something that has fat in it for it to absorb. And then you need to start vitamin D for seasonal affective disorder at usually about late August, September. You should start increasing your vitamin D levels because it does take 3 months to get that level up and getting to the point that its blood level is effective. Now, a blood level, anything below 30 is considered low. Most providers say, oh, if it's, 30 or 40, it's fine. I really prefer, and so do most people that do functional medicine, prefer to keep vitamin D levels at about 60 to 80. I have kept vitamin D levels higher than that, especially with my people with autoimmune disorder. But when you do things like that, you also have to take vitamin K with your high doses of vitamin D to be able to shunt the calcium from the cardiovascular inside the vessels and shunt that calcium out because you don't want calcium buildup inside your vessels. So that's a good way of keeping your vitamin D levels up. So then it helps you to combat SAD or seasonal affective, which is, I think she has. Okay.
She's sad.
She's always like this.
It's always sad.
Okay, what's the next one?
Question 2. Which of these is a common symptom of seasonal affective disorder? A, increased energy. B, lack of appetite. C, oversleeping and feeling sluggish. D, desire to spend more time outdoors.
Feeling more sluggish.
Correct. Many people with SAD experience increased sleepiness and lower energy levels.
So it goes along with the SAD being a type of or spectrum on depression. Depression does the same thing, slows the whole system down. So seasonal affective does make you feel more sluggish. You really don't want to go to the gym, get up on especially rainy days like this that we have in Oregon, where it just rains constantly for a few months, which is fine because we hate fire season. So yeah, you just have to kind of keep moving, and it's just one of those seasons that you just got to keep plugging along. Unfortunately, comes down to willpower.
Got to keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping off. What do you do for yourself during seasonal affective when it starts to kind of hit? What do you do to...
I came into the demon.
Well, that's... We're keeping that. So you rest, which is not bad.
I rest. I listen to it.
Couch
Waddy. I'll sit down to the demon. You're right. I do deserve it.
Couch Roddy, that's probably not the best.
So my husband gets home and he goes, "You haven't moved since I left this morning." I'm like,
Don't judge.
"What's the point of house? Keep it to yourself."
Don't judge me.
I can't really oversleep like with my seasonal affective disorder because I have 3 animals at home and my dogs demand to have me up in the morning and my cat is really loud. So it's kind of hard to do the oversleeping part. We sat in my house. Look. That's a good thing. As far as like feeling sluggish, yeah, it's just kind of there. It's just you just kind of deal with it. I get into the deal and her at the show. If she says we should stay home, then we stay home.
I work too much. I work too much to be able to cave. The days that I am off, though, I try not to schedule anything because I really like to sleep in. My dog does not wake me up. She will stay in bed all day. So I don't necessarily have that, but at a certain point I'm like, wow, I should probably get up and be like an active member of society and do something with my life, like, clean.
So I great dang religiously at 8:30. If I'm not up by then, come over to my side of the bed and just stare at me. And she's large, so you're like wake up to a giant black dog staring at you, which is what wakes you up is the pair of eyes that are burning a hole into your face,
And this thing all that's dripping on you. Yeah.
And my cat will be screaming from the room because she wants let out and fed, so it's kind of hard to sleep in bed.
I don't want the cat. Because they do that. All right, question 3. True or false? People in northern regions are more likely to experience SAD than those in southern regions. True or false? It is true. So people living in the northern regions have less winter sunlight and are more prone to seasonal affective than areas that have mild winters. The reason being is the axis of the Earth with the sun. So even when the Earth tips toward the sun more, and the northern hemisphere is experiencing summertime further up north of what we call the Mason-Dixon line, people still, even in summertime, will have lower vitamin D levels because we are not getting that direct sunshine that, say, people in Florida or Arizona or Texas and below are getting. Same holds true for extreme southern countries that are further away from that equator line where that axis kind of tips back and forth. So we can have, being in Oregon, Pacific Northwest, we're originally from Ohio. I treated patients in Ohio also. Chronically low the vitamin D levels, even in summertime, even with getting sunshine, even with people, being outside all the time, they still will have low vitamin D levels. And the problem with that is not only just seasonal affective, but low vitamin D levels can be linked to a lot of autoimmune issues also. So keep track of the vitamin D levels. This is the theme here. Question 4. Which of the treatments is commonly recommended for SAD? Light therapy, sound therapy, hypnotherapy, or cold therapy? You don't know? Light therapy. So light therapy is one of the primary treatments for seasonal affective. Setting near a light box that mimics sunlight can help improve symptoms. So light boxes are a special type of spectrum light. They're not like a fluorescent light. They're not sun tanning lights. I get people that go, oh, well, I'll just go tan during the winter and I won't get seasonal affective. It doesn't work that way. The light bulbs that are in the tanning beds typically are not the right light bulb that you need. So there's actual light boxes that you can buy, or there's some lights that are natural lights and they're the same spectrum of light that you need, that crafting, the crafting lights basically that you can shine over if you're doing needlepoint or sewing or something that you need really good light on top of. Those lights work really, really well also. And so what you're looking for is it's a natural light spectrum that's special for seasonal affective. And it is proven to show that if you sit in front of this light box for 15 minutes a day or twice a day, it does help improve moods. And I have used, I haven't had like a medical grade light box, but I've had a crafting light that was a natural light bulb. And I did use that for a few winters, and it worked really well for it, because my seasonal affective, before I really knew what it was, could get to the point that it went into like a full-fledged like depression, where I would have to go on like an antidepressant for a short period of time and then wean back off of it. If anybody's weaned on and off of antidepressants, we all know how horrendous that is. So I got to a point that I was like, oh, I really don't want to do this anymore. So I found more alternative methods to be able to help that. There's stuff. Next. There you go.
Question 5. SAD affects approximately what percentage of adults in the United States? A, 1%, B, 5%, C, 10%, or D, 15%? The answer is 5%. About 5% of U.S. adults experience SAD, though many more experience milder winter blues.
I figured it would be higher than that.
Question 6. Which vitamin is often linked to SAD symptoms due to low light exposure?
Listen, if we missed this one, I'm pretty sure you all can answer that now because I've been harping about it.
Vitamin D. Lower sunlight in winter can reduce vitamin D levels, which is thought to play a role in mood regulation. 2 other key facts about seasonal affective disorder is that women are more commonly affected than men, but about 60 to 90% of those diagnosed are female. Another is age. Seasonal affective disorder often begins in young adulthood, typically between 18 and 30, though it can affect individuals of any age.
So other key causes that can lead to seasonal affective are reduced sunlight, which we discussed, which reduces the vitamin D level, and then basically change of our circadian rhythm, because it's darker, longer. We've got longer dark than light during fall and winter months. That starts to change after about winter solstice, which is typically the end of December, and we start to go back to becoming more light. And that will change. Circadian rhythm is our sleeping rhythm in which we sleep. So we want to sleep more, obviously, when it's darker. And then because it's darker, the brain is releasing melatonin, which melatonin makes us drowsy and makes us sleep. So it all kind of goes hand in hand with that light theory of using a light box and using a vitamin that's very much light specific, vitamin D.
Populations most affected by SAD are individuals living in the northern latitudes, like the northern United States, Canada, and Scandinavia. Also, those with a history of depression or bipolar disorder. Individuals with existing mood disorders may experience seasonal worsening of symptoms.
A interesting fact that I found when kind of researching seasonal affective is that there are some cultures that, like in Denmark, that will make their house more cozy, and almost like hibernative, in a hibernative state.
I'm moving.
And that will help to kind of combat the winter blues. Seasonal affective. So maybe making your own environment at home something that's a little more comfortable, something that when you go home you can tuck down into and wrap yourself into, and have maybe some candles or a light box or your favorite snacks that aren't sugary, because sugars tend to make depression worse. And just kind of, cuddle up with a good book or an art project or something that you really like to do that sparks creativity in the mind, that keeps the mind a little more active and attentive. But yeah, I like the idea of making a nice cuddly area in the wintertime to kind of hibernate into when you get home, to kind of lift your mood a little bit.
My papa's on chair. I've also been doing a lot more. I've also been coloring a lot, like in my adult coloring books. And I picked up a new book series to stay off of my phone, kind of keep my brain engaged. Because if I'm constantly on technology, like constantly on my phone or just constantly watching TV, my brain kind of gets mushy. And I'm like, ugh, and then I feel worse. So the past couple of weeks, I've been, we still sit down and watch a couple episodes of our show, but then we'll turn off the TV and I'll color for the rest of the night or read a chapter 2 of my book. And that seems to have helped my brain kind of get through it.
Another thing I've noticed is here in Southern Oregon, we've got quite a few places that they're microbreweries, big areas you can set on the inside. And a lot of people just come and gather and just play games together. Mm-hmm. Uno and checkers, and, they've got little tiny, the board games with the little skimmy pegs that you play. I used to play that all the time when I was a kid. And it's a lot of community of getting people together in a big area and having that community of, it's dreary outside and it's pouring rain, but we're going to set in here and we're going to play these games. Find some place that, possibly does like a trivia night that you can get involved in, or get involved. Maybe your library has some programs that they can, that they're doing that you can get involved in, but getting yourself kind of out and with people, even though you don't feel like going out, sometimes will help also with that sense of community. And you touched on technology, especially right now with everything going on, no matter which side you sit on, things feel a little daunting, I think, for just everybody. And so maybe getting off that technology for a little bit and reading or coloring, again, engaging your brain into some type of activity that sparks your interest and just puts sun on your face. Mm. So that's what I do. I like to color. I've got a lot of coloring books, and I listen to audiobooks while I'm working on stuff. I like to read, and that's usually when I do a lot more of my reading is in winter time, fall and winter, when it's like this. But there's just sometimes that even when it's crappy like this outside, just going for a hike, finding one of my favorite spots that I can know I'm not going to slip down the mountain, and just going on a short hike, even with it raining, tends to help. They call it forest bathing in, I think, Japan, where you go into the forest. It helps to reduce blood pressure, helps to reduce heart rate, and overall just helps to stimulate the good chemicals in the brain to feel a little bit happier. So those are always ideas. Also, cuddle up into your rain gear and just go out and trek through it. Or in places, we don't get a lot of snow here, but in places where you get snow, getting out and going snowshoeing or cross-country skiing, which can be very, it doesn't have to be labor-intensive versus like downhill skiing, snowboarding, things like that. But getting out and just kind of playing like a kid, sometimes I think as adults, we forget to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
So that can kind of help, just getting out and playing out in the snow or the rain or whatever weather you've got going on. And just let your inner kid out to run around and play, throw some snowballs. Some other non-conventional treatments, other than light therapy or aromatherapy, mindful meditation, and I touched on just briefly, but dietary changes. So things that are really have a lot of carbohydrates, simple sugars to them, tend to make depression worse in our body. It also makes us more sluggish. So trying to focus on maybe creative meal planning that involves higher in protein meals, and then also higher in good fats, and then lower in carbohydrates. And if you're taking in carbohydrates, then it's something like a complex carbohydrate that takes a little bit longer, fibers, things like that take a little bit longer to break down into sugar, so they don't make your sugars go up and down so rapidly. Then there's some newer technology like a dawn stimulating. Wow, she's really tired. Like a dawn stimulating, simulating, like a dawn simulating alarm clock, or there's even wearable light devices that you can wear. That way you've got them on you. And I would think even taking a light device into where you work, especially if you work in front of a computer where you're sitting, that, keeping something like that on your desk while you're working would help also. Mindful meditation, just kind of focusing on the more positive. And if you think about wintertime, fall, wintertime, or fall being more of a representative of the ending of a season or a cycle. I always think of fall of harvest because we come from a farming background. So to me, I love fall. It's my favorite because it's always you're bringing in that harvest, everything you worked so hard for through the whole entire year to grow, and you're bringing that in. So that was always an exciting time. And so it's that time of kind of finishing a cycle, harvesting what you've grown or brought into this world to make edible. Come from Ohio, so we did a lot of canning and freezing of like vegetables and things like that, and getting pies ready in the freezer, fruits and all that. So you think of fall as that time to kind of gather, and it's a death of or end of a cycle. And then winter, I was always dreading it because I'm like, God, I hate this. Because it just feels like it's like all encompassing, like death. It's stifling, especially if you come in a place where it goes gray in October, October, and you don't see the light again until I sort of got April or May. And that just feels really, really daunting, especially for people that have that deal with depression. So instead of thinking of winter as, this is all encompassing death, like it's more of, no, this is time to rest. This is time to get the body and the mind ready for the next season. This is your time where you're making plans for what am I going to look forward to and doing in the next season. So you don't think of a winter time as a time of death, but more of like in Denmark, it's this cozy thing that you do where you cuddle down in and create new ideas and create new plans, and you rest the body while keeping the mind prepared to kind of, go into the next season. And you can think of that metaphorically. You can think of it, however you want to think of it. But it's kind of a different way to kind of put a spin on these winter months that are really can be cold and gray, snowy, sleety, icy, inconvenient, and sometimes depressing. So,
some community resources to help you deal with SAD are hotlines and support groups. There are resources such as SAD support groups, online forums, and mental health hotlines. There is, BetterHelp. If you can't find a counselor in your area or your community, there's online counselors where you can talk over the phone or over Zoom, talking to your friends and family. There's also apps for mood tracking, and this can help listeners monitor symptoms and mood over periods of time.
Another resource is having animals.
Yeah.
And I think that's one that people don't think of as being something that helps mood, anxiety, depression. But statistically, people that have animals, oh my God, speaking of animals, there's cat. People that have animals tend to have lower rates of anxiety and depression, especially setting and petting your animal tends to help to improve mood and helps improve anxiety.
Typically, like fall, winter, I will get into the dog beds with the dog. Say yesterday I was feeling a little down, so I got into the dog bed with Kira, lay with her for like 30 minutes, and I was like talking, and then she comes back, and all she saw was my foot hanging out of the door. And she goes, "Are you laying in the dog bed?" And she came in, and there we were curled in the dog bed. I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
So yeah, your animals can definitely be a big help.
Nobody has ever been sad in a pile of dogs. I'm just saying. It's the way I get the sister on it. The nights that I was staying and keeping the grand dogs and Kira, I had Kira on one side. This is Kira. Had Kira on one side. She's a pit, about 85 pounds. I've got the Great Dane on my other side, who is as long as what I am. And then I've got the plot hound down in between like this. And I'm like, I've never felt more cozy or safe in my life. But yeah, animals, having animals, cuddling with your animals, cuddling with your humans that you like, all of that tends to help reduce depression and anxiety. So cuddle a lot during your fall and winter months to help keep your mood improved. Hugs should be about 15 to 30 seconds for a hug to be physiologically to make a difference in a human. You should hug for like 15 to 30 seconds. And that makes it a little awkward with some people. Like you could see doing it, but like somebody that you love, but like, people that are huggers and they're hugging me a little bit longer than that. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? But yeah, physiologically, hugs that last that long help to boost the good chemicals, the happy chemicals in our brain. And so I don't know if you're a hugger or not, but, hug and make it worth it.
Not physical touch. My husband is...
I was not either.
And
I was not either until after COVID. And once COVID hit, I was like, oh, thank God. I have practiced this my whole life.
stay out of this area. It's my bubble. And then I'm, talking to people who are the huggers of the world. They're the ones that keep everything, loved. And my heart hurt for them because these people rely on that physical touch all the time. No matter where they go, they make everybody hug them. And they went from getting that to not getting that. And so watching that change with not only people that I work with that were big huggers, to friends, not being able to hug because now all of a sudden, oh my God, we've got COVID. Everybody went through it and we know how it went. To now, like, nobody gives a crap. That was a rude awakening for me to see those people, because I'm like you. I'm like, I'm good. Look at me from afar. Don't touch me. But when I went through that, I made sure, like, my huggers that were in my group, I made sure that I hugged them because I felt so bad for them that they weren't getting that connection. So, yeah, I guess the moral of the story is just be a little bit more of a hugger unless you have COVID, and then keep that crap to yourself so you don't make everybody else sick. Another odd fact is having plants in your house. Not only do they help with the oxygen, carbon dioxide exchange, but there are plants have a vibration. They're a living thing. And people that have plants in their house tend to have less depression because they've got this living thing in their house that they're taking care of, and it's in a way taking care of you also. So I found that to be a really interesting, and both of us had a lot of plants. There's a lot of plants in here, and then we both have a lot of plants at home also. So having maybe a plant to take care of during the winter. Put a little herb. I don't know, you can get those little containers so you can put herbs in, and that way you've got fresh herbs when you're cooking or baking that you can put into your dish you're making. And that would help also. So I want to encourage everybody to share this. Excuse her, she has no manners. I want to encourage everybody to share, leave comments for this video, possibly bring up this episode and start a discussion on seasonal affective, and just bring mental health to light, and make it less of a stigma to discuss, because everybody deals with it at some point in their life. So bringing it to, the family and saying, hey, I saw this podcast. They talked about seasonal affective disorder. I've dealt with this. Has anybody else in the family dealt with this? What have you done? And just get that conversation started to help reduce the stigma of dealing with some of these issues that you don't have to deal with on your own. And having community definitely helps to reduce those symptoms.
I know a lot of my friends who we all struggle with some kind of mood disorder. They're all kind of, it's in the name that it's sad. So we're all kind of sad girlies. So just checking in with your people, making sure everybody is okay, or whether that's like a daily text or a funny meme, or just being like, hey, how are you doing? Did you just talk about anything? Just checking in with your people, because especially in Oregon, we are going to be in winter for the next 9 months of our lives. Seasonal affective disorder is going to hit us a lot longer than some people. So I think just checking in with people and checking in with yourself. For me, to deal with my seasonal affective disorder, I don't push myself very hard. I kind of listen to it. Not so bad where I'm like, the dishes haven't been done in 2 weeks and I haven't showered for 3 weeks. But like, if I don't feel like going into work, then I don't go in, or I stay home and with my dogs, or, if I want to rot, then I rot. And I try to give myself grace and not feel too bad about it. So I think just checking in with the people and giving yourself grace to, like with any depression, take the time to take care of yourself. Thank you for joining us on this episode. Make sure you like, share, comment, and we'll see you on our next one.